For today's episode, I have the pleasure of being joined by Mollie Hughes. What I'll say about Mollie before we get things kicked off is she might be the nicest person in the world. In conversation with Mollie, we've just had really good conversations. I've learned a lot about her and her background, and it's pretty darn fascinating. So, welcome to the show, Mollie.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I mean, I love that introduction. I appreciate it.
Well, we've had conversations about you internally at WrenchWay, and everybody says the same thing. Like Mollie is the sweetest person in the world, and we really enjoy talking to her.
Well, thank you. The feeling is mutual. I love talking to everybody at Wrenchway. You guys are fabulous.
Oh, that's awesome. So let's kick things off by learning about you. What is your role at Audi?
Wonderful. Well, my role at Audi, I am in our service operations team, which is on the after sales side. And I love my job. I get to work directly with our dealers and our field and make sure that the programs that corporate is putting out make sense to them, make sure it's a good rollout, make sure that everybody is on board, that it's working the way it's supposed to. Um, I also have the opportunity to get to work with our technicians and service advisors. I plan our incentive trips and incentive programs for them. So it's a really rewarding job because I get to see what it actually brings to our dealership, which is great, and I get to meet a lot of really cool people. So yeah, I have a really fun job. I'm pretty lucky.
Yeah, it's and you do a fantastic job at that job.
Thank you.
Uh, did you start off with a desire to be in the automotive world, or how did you get into this?
It is funny you say that. I went to college to be a teacher, and I was a teacher. I taught eighth grade out in Vail, Colorado for 3 years. However, I like to kind of call myself a legacy. My dad was in the automotive industry. He was with Volkswagen Group of America for gracious 30 plus years. When he
Wow.
retired, my sister joined the automotive industry right out of college as well. She worked for Volkswagen Financial, Volkswagen Academy, and then with Bugatti. She's now working in the motorcycle sector in Livewire, which is a all electric motorcycle. And I said, bright eyed, absolutely not. I'm not going into automotive. I'm not going to do what everybody else in the family did. Forget it. And after 3 years of teaching and kind of really thinking about it, sucked me in. I said, nope, actually, this is an amazing place. It's exciting, it's fun. So I ended up going into the family business and now am part of Audi.
Oh my goodness, what a cool story. I do have to ask, how was it living in Vale? That seems like a great place to live.
It was amazing. I absolutely loved it. I was in my young 20s, super fun. It's yeah, I recommend it to everyone. If you're able to get
Yeah.
out there, go live there. It was amazing. Great opportunity. So very
Oh my
lucky.
goodness. One of my favorite places in the US. It is unbelievable. Super nice. I am curious how a southern girl ended up in Colorado in the mountains, like in Vail. That would be kind of a culture shock a little bit, wouldn't it?
Well, very fair point. I was lucky enough. My family did grow up skiing. My mom is one of six, and two of her sisters live out there. So when I
Ah.
graduated, I could not find a teaching job in Georgia. And I said, well, I'm moving to Colorado, and that's just what I'm going to do. And the only teaching job I could find was up in the mountains, which ended up being the most amazing thing ever. Way better than teaching in Denver. The mountains way better. So it was a lot of fun, really cool experience.
And if I'm not mistaken, were you a Georgia Bulldog?
Great memory. Yes, go dogs. We start the
Yeah.
season this year. Let's not talk about it. But yes, I am a Georgia Bulldog.
How did you get to go to some games while you're going to college there?
I did. Luckily, I did. We have just the most amazing stadium. It's funny. Football in the South is very unique. It's an event. You dress up for it. You wear pearls. It's a thing. My older sister went to University of Michigan, where it's
Ooh.
a great Midwest school. You know, football games are cold, you wear sweatshirts. So my first game I went to as a student at Georgia, you know, I wore shorts and a t-shirt as one would at a Michigan game. And oh my gracious, I felt so out of place as everybody was in their heels and dresses. And I learned very quickly, you dress up, this is an event, and you have to look presentable. So it was my last faux pas there. I did manage to do it right after that.
Oh, how cool. What a cool background. And I think the entire industry, especially Audi, is very thankful that it led you to where you're at today.
Thank
And
you.
I am curious, how did you end up at Audi then, with all the Volkswagen background, excuse me, to ending up at Audi?
So my sister was working for Bugatti at the time, and she knew that I was kind of looking to make a change and wasn't really loving what I was doing. And she said, Molly, there's this opportunity at Audi. I think you would be a great fit. Like, just apply, you know, just see what comes of it. And I did. I was lucky enough to get the job, and the rest was history. So I
Oh,
attribute it to my sister. She got me in the door, which was really great.
how cool is that? And did you start off in the aftermarket side, or was it
I did.
the yeah?
I've always been on the after sale side, which I love. I've just love this side of the business. So I actually came in. I was a vendor partner in the beginning. I worked for Chamberlain Marketing Group, and I ran our Audi collection. So all of the beautiful sweatshirts that I'm wearing right now, the clothes, what you, as a customer going into a dealership, you can buy Audi collection merchandise. So I ran that for the after sale side, and then just went on in my career and ended up where I am now.
Oh, and it's a cool brand. I think when you're especially first starting off, that brand is
Definitely.
so important to you. And Audi's is just awesome. Like so much of what you do as a company is just cool, right? Like it's a cool brand.
It's a very cool brand. The four rings really mean something. This is not only do we make absolutely stunning, beautiful cars, but I think we have some of the best customer service in the business. We truly care about our customers and loyalty. It's an amazing brand, not only as a consumer, but as, you know, someone who works for them. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, and you can tell the pride just it shouts, from a mountaintop when I talk to you. It
Well,
is
thank
really
you.
cool to see that and see the love that you have for that brand. One of the really cool parts and really a topic of conversation for us today is about one of the things that the brand does, which is called the Audi Twin Cup. As I've
Yes.
learned more and more about this competition, I've really become infatuated with it. I think what you're doing is incredible and it's meaningful and there's so much good going on with it. I was able to watch kind of an overview video of the competition, which was also very well done. But the competition as a whole is just incredible. So could you walk us through a little bit of about what the Twin Cup is, and we'll dive into all the details here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, I am a little biased, but I hands down think that this is the coolest program that we run at Audi. So the Audi Twin Cup program is essentially a competition for our technicians, service advisors, and Audi brand specialists on the sales side. It is such a unique opportunity for technicians and service advisors and ABSs to be able to not only show off their skill set, you know, to be able to come bring their knowledge to the table, but meet other technicians, meet other colleagues from not only around the United States, but around the world. It's it's a really, really cool thing. And I am going to say this, which I think is amazing. We're one of the only OEMs who does this type of program. Our parent company, Volkswagen, does do a competition, but they just do it on a national level, which is awesome, which is great. But I think what's so unique and special about Audi is that Germany supports this, and they, at our world competition, as we gear up towards that through all the different testing, our team that we get from our national finalists, a group of 8, actually get to represent the United States at the world level against all these other countries. I mean, it's kind of like the Olympics of automotive. It's very cool. Very, very cool.
And like from the standpoint of taking somebody, and I'm assuming a lot of these people may have never left the country before or haven't traveled a
Yeah.
lot. It feels like there would be a lot of pressure, right? Because you're going and you're competing against like other countries. It's not just within your state or even within the US. You're going outside of really your comfort zone altogether to go compete at that world level.
Yes, and there's this pride there. We want to represent the United States well. We want to do really well, and I have to say, I am blown away every year watching our teams compete. I I think I am more nervous than they are, and they're it truly is a testament of the best, and watching these men and women get up there and do what they do on a daily basis, show those skills. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's such an amazing experience, and I feel very lucky that I've gotten to watch it. But yeah, I have to say, these guys are able to keep calm under pressure. We do training sessions leading up to Worlds, and I work with some fantastic colleagues. Bob Greider and Chris Thatcher are, without them, I don't think Twin Cup would ever be what it is, but they write some very difficult tests. Sometimes I think they're harder than what they even see at Worlds. So we're able to prep them, and by the end of it, it's kind of a running joke that, they're like, everything's a test. We have to make sure that we're on the ball. Everything's a test. So it becomes kind of a big joke by the end of it. But we definitely prep them for that pressure and be able to, perform at the best ability that they can.
Oh, how cool is that? Now, I want to kind of set the stage here. Where is the competition actually
Fabulous
from the world
question.
standpoint?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So from the world standpoint, for the last 3 years, it's been in Germany. In years past, they've taken it to other countries. I know they've done Spain, Portugal. They're getting back to bringing it back to Germany. So for the last 3 years, it's been Germany. 2025 should be in Germany as well. The world competition will be in November this year. So I don't know if they're going to change that up. Germany makes that decision on where Worlds is held. So yeah, so for this year it will be Germany.
Oh, how cool is that? And so uh, let's now take it back to the US, and how does one qualify to get to that stage? Because we've talked about the skill level required and the talent level required to make it there. How does somebody start their journey in trying to get to that point?
Absolutely. So another, I think, incredible thing about Twin Cup is anybody can compete. Anybody can register for it as long as you're a technician, service advisor, or Audi brand specialist. So we open up registration. You register for it, and then what happens is we do two preliminary rounds of online testing. So that round one testing is, I would say, a culmination of some basic skills, some Audi history. It's geared towards, hey, like, do can you do your job essentially? From there, anybody who scores above an 80% moves on to round two. Round two gets a lot more challenging. So the I say we up the ante here. It now becomes a time test. It's a lot more challenging questions. It goes a lot more in depth into Audi's history, into specifics for our technicians, into you really have to know your stuff. So from there, the top placed folks, the ones who score the highest, then move on to our national competition. And our national competition is really cool because we've changed locations for that. That can be anywhere in the US. Last year we were in San Diego. This year it's going to be in Fort Lauderdale. But our finalists get to bring a guest, and then they come to our nationals, and it's a hands-on practical competition. So we do a little bit of written tests, but majority of it is hands-on. Essentially, hey, we just bugged this car. Can you fix it? Are you doing the proper service core process? Are you doing everything that, you know, we as a brand stand for when it comes to customer service, when it comes to fix right the first time? Are we doing it correct? And they get to essentially show off their skills, and it's a lot of fun. They get to bring that guest. We plan some fun events. We have a huge award gala at the end of the week after the competition, where we announce our Team USA, who will get to go with us over and compete at Worlds. It's a very, very fun, a little stressful, but very fun competition and experience. And I love that they get to bring a guest, because they get to share that experience of, hey, I work really hard at my job, and this is an opportunity to be able to showcase it. So it's great.
Oh my goodness. And you're going to some pretty cool places too. Like to be able to travel to San Diego or Fort Lauderdale with a guest, so much of what we talk about is changing the perception of a technician and what they do. And if you're one of those technicians and you're being recognized for your talent and doing it on a national, if not world stage, is pretty impressive. And I think it is one of those things that maybe changes that outside perception a little bit, right? If they're talking to their friends and family group and saying, I'm sure there's a lot of pride in that, of being able to go on a trip where you're competing and you're doing some great things. And I think there's so much value in that, not just to Audi or that individual technician, but to the industry as a whole, because I do think it's things like that that start to change the perception of the outside public of how talented these people are.
100%, 100%. The first Twin Cup that I got to go to, I was blown away at what they are able to do. I mean, absolutely blown away. It's truly you look at our technicians. I mean, they're our future. Like we don't have service bays if we don't have technicians. And it's just such an honor to get to watch them. And, after a particularly hard test, like watching them come out, they'll be like, oh, Mollie, I don't know how I did on that. And it's like, their worst critic. But it's just to see the pride when they get their scores, when they see how well they've done. And, it's just such a cool thing to be able to see. And it's, I go back to, this is the coolest program we run in after sales, hands down. And the fact that, not only does Audi Germany support this, but that we, United States, that we support this so much, like you can tell the value that this company is putting on our technicians and service advisors and Audi brand specialists. Like it's the forefront. And I think that's amazing.
I do too. It's one, as we were talking about having this episode, I did want to put a highlight on it, because I do think all of the work that goes into that is definitely worthy of talking about and shining a more of a light on it, because it's these things that I think just move the needle for us as an industry. Now, it's not just that we've had success in the US, we've had some success at the world level too, correct?
Yes, we have. So the last 2 years, the United States has placed first, which is actually a huge deal. No country has ever won back to back. So the fact that we took it not only in 2023, but also in 2024 was just an absolutely huge deal. So beyond proud. Something really unique too in 2023. So previously, Twin Cup was only for after sales. It was only for our technicians and service advisors. And in 23, they added in the sales side of the dealership, which I think was such a great idea to really show this holistic viewpoint of the dealership and how honestly, like, together we're better. It's not just after sales, it's not just sales. We need both to have success here, and to have been able to have won it with the introduction of sales was amazing. And then to hold the title last year, holy cannoli. I mean, amazing. They have their work cut out for them this year. I'm not going to lie. I've never heard of a three-peat, but if anyone can do it, it's these guys. They're amazing.
That is incredible. And I have to assume if you're going into Germany and beating the Germans, that there's probably, I mean, there's some true competition there, right? Like
There is.
yeah.
There is. It's I think that's what's so cool about this is you get to meet other countries, you get to meet other technicians and other service advisors, and see how they kind of do things. There's a little bit of differences, but something that I think is really special about Twin Cup is this camaraderie. Yes, it's a competition, but everybody's there. They're just so proud to represent their country, and proud to like meet each other and be like, hey, how do you do it there? What do you do? And it's really a very special experience. And yes, of course, we all want to win, absolutely. But at the end of the day, those contacts that you get to make I mean, it's priceless. It's very cool.
Well, and I think if you're in that position, you're amongst the best of the best. And so I think there's an inherent respect level when you go there, that the people you're competing against and you're meeting and you're having conversations with, who do come from different cultures, but still kind of have that shared love for the same thing. I think you have that respect level right off the bat, and you have that shared passion for what it is that you're doing, which is, I think, a secret sauce to kind of bringing it all together and making it such an impactful event.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's something that I hope our company continues forever, because you see that impact, and it's very amazing to be a part of. So
Yeah. And just from my experience, I was very involved with Skills USA for a long time. Was a chair of a competition here in Wisconsin for,
that's
I don't know,
awesome.
10 years. And one of the things that always stuck out to me in the competition was, and especially with the best of the best in that competition, what I always enjoyed was being able to watch a really talented young person and how their brain processed things, right? And you could tell in that competition, there was definitely a difference between the upper end and maybe some of the just average. And what was always fascinating to me was that there were different types of personalities and different types of thinkers and the way they thought about things, but ultimately you could just tell, like, their brain processed things at maybe a different level. And it was so fun for me to watch, because as a failed technician myself, as a not very good technician, to see how really, really good ones operate is always fascinating to me. And in a competition setting, and with the pressure on the line, and the timer being on, and really just that critical thinking that goes into it, it's remarkable to watch some of these people and how they operate. I've always come away really, really impressed.
100%. I can't echo that enough. It's, we design these tests, and in our head we have a way, all right, this is how they should go through it, this is how it will be done. And then you see someone come in and approach it in a different way, and it's like, I didn't even think about that, but yes, you can do that, and you got there, and it's really, really cool. When we start Twin Cup, you're starting individually. You're doing round 1 online test by yourself. You're doing round 2 online test by yourself. You get to nationals, you're technically doing, your rotation of the competition by yourself. We do add in a team element. There is a team challenge, because that's something that Audi Germany really pushes at the world level, that it's a team dynamic. So all of a sudden you're individual. And then when we get to nationals, we start putting people in teams, because I mean, I'll be honest, if you don't have a team that gels, if you don't have a team that works together, you're never going to be successful. So that's something that we started integrating into the Twin Cup national competition of, all right, how do these guys actually work in a team? And then once we get our world finalists, our Team USA, we do a separate in-person training up at our headquarters in Auburn Hills, Michigan. And that's really where it's, even if we're not being, if they're not able to get every single thing that we throw at them, it's, are they able to work as a team and be able to compete as a team? Because I really believe that is why we've been so successful the last 3 years in Germany, is because we've had an incredible team. And I mean, to the point, we still have like a team chat from 2022 where, we're still in contact. And I know and trust me, I have questions about my Audi sometimes. I should be better about this, but I can call up one of my techs and be like, okay, I don't know what I did, but can you help me with this? And, oh, no problem. It's a very special, unique bond that is built among them. And it's, they're friendships that I think will last forever. It's very neat.
Oh my goodness, how cool is that? And I do applaud the factory for kind of thinking through that a little bit
Yes.
more too, right? And adding that team element, because I do think it throws another curveball in terms of, yes, you're a great individual contributor, but how are you when you're added to a team? And and almost how well-rounded are you, not just in fixing this one vehicle, but being a good teammate? I love the fact that
Yes.
they added that.
Me too. Me too. And it is, like you said, how, you look at the best of the best, how they approach things. We'll put the best of the best together and watch them be able to interact and be like, all right, hey, you do this, I'm good at this, you go here. I mean, it's magic. It's just cool. It's really, really
Yeah.
cool to see.
Well, and if I think they take the right approach to it, I think the best of the best are always trying to learn more. They're always trying to get better. And when you're surrounded by other best of best, I do think there's probably things that you learn from them, even if you've been working on Audis for 30 years, right? There's probably things that
Definitely.
you can take from somebody else and implement in your day-to-day life that's going to make you more impactful.
Definitely. I 100% agree. I still love on our group chats, there'll be questions thrown out. Hey, I have, a Q7 in here, and where do I find this? And just how they help each other. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Well, and at the end of the day, it's people, right? And I think oftentimes one of the biggest complaints we hear from technicians is that they feel like they're just a number, or that they're not listened to. And when you do something like this from an OEM standpoint, I do think your actions speak louder than words, right? You're actually taking it to the next level. You are trying to shine a light on these really, really talented individuals. Whereas I think maybe a lot of manufacturers might say, and maybe not manufacturers, that maybe that's not fair, but like, you almost hesitate to show your best of the best because you're afraid that they'll go somewhere else or that they'll do something else. And I think rather than hiding these really talented people, we have to highlight them. We have to highlight their stories and how talented they are, because I think all of us within the industry know that we understand how talented these people are, but there is some work to do in the general public to educate them on how talented these people are, because there are still a lot of people that have that grease monkey mentality, or they
Right.
think the one thing but they don't really understand the reality. And in something like this, I do think really, really helps push that over the edge of like, hey, here's our best of the best. These people are incredibly talented. And if you take a second to actually see what they do and how smart they are, it might change the way you think about our industry. And for us, I think as an industry, I'll get on my soapbox here for just a second. In order for us to draw more people into this industry and retain them once they're here, it does take a little bit of public education to, that school counselor that's out there, to that parent that's out there that might not want their child to go into this industry. But by showcasing our best of the best, we give them stories, we arm them with stories so that they know that there is legitimate career paths here. They know that there are uh, opportunities in this industry that can set them up for a really, really good life.
I could not agree with you more. It's, you know, not only are we recognizing, but we're celebrating. We're celebrating the talents of our technicians, and I think that's something that Audi does really well. Twin Cup is obviously a great example of that, but we just launched a new reward and recognition program where not only are we celebrating tenure, but also milestones in development. So as they, move through their learning courses and making that master guild tech, that's something that we want to celebrate and we want to recognize. And I couldn't agree with you more. It's so important. And there's like a stigma around the way that you view technicians, and there's so much more to what they do. And especially now, I mean, if we're looking at the future of electric vehicles, the technology that goes into those, and the proper courses you have to go through to be able to work on an EV vehicle. Holy smokes, those are not easy. I mean,
No.
it's outstanding. These gentlemen and women are so smart and so talented, and I appreciate that we're able to do, on a small scale, be able to recognize and celebrate those incredible talents. And our industry is lucky to have them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Want to build a pipeline of young technician talent in your shop? Check out School Assist. Powered by WrenchWay and ASE, School Assist makes it easy for shops and dealerships who are looking for young technician talent to build relationships with instructors and their students. Schools post specific requests for things like equipment, tools, advisory committee members, shop visits, and more. Shops can view these requests and directly connect with program instructors all in one place. Over 2,800 schools and 2,000 shops are already using School Assist to build valuable connections. See if it's right for your shop. Learn more at wrenchway.com/school-assist. Link is in the show notes. Have you ever had a technician that was incredibly talented, but maybe didn't want the light shined on them, or they were hesitant to go into the competition?
It's funny. I've in working, I've had the opportunity to go into some dealerships and meet some of our technicians, and I'm like, hey, are you going to do Twin Cup this year? And they're like, oh no. I'm like, why? They're like, I don't know, like, the testing, I'm nervous about it. Like, I know if you give me a car, I can do that. But the online testing, I think sometimes makes folks a little bit apprehensive. And I always tell them, just try. What's the worst that will happen? Okay, so you don't hit the 80% in round one. Okay, so you took a test, 45 minutes of your life is gone. It's okay. And I get so excited when I'll get an email or I'll see their name, as we're looking at round two. Oh my God, they made it to nationals. And to be able to reach out and be like, I told you could do this. And it's just makes me so happy. And so, I mean, the worst you can do is try, and okay, you don't make it. I had a gentleman this year who it was his first time making it to nationals. He's done round one, done round two, but never actually made it to the nationals. And he made it last year, and just, he's like, I am making it every year now after seeing what it was all about and actually getting to be there. But it's, I get it. It's daunting. And we ask a lot, this is, the online tests aren't easy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They're not. We really want to see our best of the best show up, and it's, you just have to take that first step and try, and it gets easier as you go through it year from year too. You kind of figure out, all right, this is what they're looking for, and all of that. But it's I just think it's a really fun and unique experience to be able to try to get to. And I hope everybody tries this year. Registration will be opening up in April, so everybody
All
register.
right. Right around the corner, right around the corner.
Yes.
And I think what you just talked about there is so impactful, because it is pushing maybe that technician that isn't comfortable with it out of their comfort zone a little bit. And knowing that, if you go through it the first year, maybe you don't pass that test piece, that then you're better prepared for the following year, and you understand a little bit more about, what it's all about, and you learn through that process. And I'm a big fan of kind of failure, right? Of failing and then figuring out, like, okay, how do
Yeah.
I attack this better the next time? And it's so much of that growth mindset. And if you're one of those really good technicians that's listening out there, I think this is a perfect opportunity to kind of get out of your comfort zone, do something a little different, and challenge yourself to do something different, because it does give you something to set a goal for. It does give you something outside of the shop walls that is something that is going to push you a little bit. And I think there are a lot of you out there that have a desire to do something like this, but are almost just afraid of the unknown. And if you just attack it with that mindset of, you know what, I'm going to go after it. I know I'm a good tech. I want to try this, and don't be ashamed of it. Even if you catch a little grief from your buddies in the shop, like just go for it. Like, this is such a cool thing. Why wouldn't you go for it?
Completely agree. The worst, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You get to go to Germany and compete, free trip to Europe. I'm just saying. No, it's, I love your take on it. It's, it is scary to go outside of our comfort zones, and it can feel daunting, but, take that first step, just try and see what happens, because it's, as you keep going with it, it is a amazing experience, one that you will definitely take with you. And, we try each step of the way. If you take round one, you do get a free gift from Audi. We send you something for taking round one. Same with round
That's
two.
awesome.
So, hey, even if you don't move on, at least you get something, which is exciting.
That's right. I
Why
love
not?
that. Yes, absolutely. Now, how about from the dealer's side? It could be seen as like, oh my goodness, they're not going to be in the shop producing, or they're going to be taken away from their day to day. I don't think that's probably the way most are going to look at this, right? Like, if you look at leadership in a dealership, I think so many of them would embrace this, and really, yeah, in my eyes, if they're smart, would then shine a light on that technician and kind of share their journey, share their path, because
Yes.
that speaks to those other young people or other technicians that you're trying to get into your dealership, that, hey, they actually do value techs, and they are going the extra mile for their best, which I truly think is the right approach.
Oh my gosh, yes. We're very lucky. Our dealer partners are exceptional. They absolutely support the program, and to your point, I mean, it's pretty exciting to say, "Hey, I have the number one technician in the world working at my store." I mean,
Yeah.
that's a selling point right there. So our dealers have been phenomenal. What I love, Audi San Jose, their service director, Casey, she's amazing. She competed in Twin Cup. She made it to Worlds. So she knows firsthand what an incredible experience this is, and encourages her shop, her techs, her service advisors to get involved with it. How incredible is that? Our Chris Burden, who was our first place winning tech at Nationals last year, his dealership, Hoffman Audi, I love them. They made posters with Chris on it of like #1 tech right here. I love watching what the dealers do to get behind it and to support those who are involved in it. It's incredible. And I mean, why wouldn't you? It's
Yeah.
a great thing to brag about. It's a big deal. It's a big deal to make it to nationals, and it's a big deal to make it to worlds.
Well, and we talked about your love for the Georgia Bulldogs, and I always kind of I equate technicians in a lot of ways to athletes, right? And I think
Yeah.
if you take that view of something like this from the dealer's perspective, you do have the ability to go out and share that story and really brag on that person because they've accomplished something that is huge. Like, this is not just some small competition. This is a big deal. And I think it gives a dealer so much opportunity to really, really showcase their talent. And if you're lucky enough to have a winner on your team, even at nationals, to go to nationals, like, that's a
Huge.
big deal. And so to be able to say, hey, listen, we've got a person on our team that is one of the best. I think
Qualified, made
it's a
it to
statement.
nationals. Yeah, it's a
Yes.
huge
Yes.
statement. It's a huge
Yes.
statement. It is something to be incredibly proud of.
Yeah. And I kind of want to use that to segue to the next piece, which is Audi's love of technicians in general, right? Like, I think you've done a really good job of sharing the importance of technicians to Audi as a whole. But then just in general, I think the way you talk about them, even when we're not recording, there's a love there, right? Like, you are really passionate about the people in this field, and specifically the technicians. I'll talk about them a little bit. I think it's really cool because that isn't something that is just, again, common complaint. We feel like just a number. You don't make anybody feel like just a number. Like, I think you do a good job at making them feel special and feel that love, if you will.
Well, thank you. I think honestly that it starts from the top. Our senior leadership, our senior vice president of after sales product quality and technical service, Jamie Dennis, he started out as a technician. I mean, that was his origin. Our vice president of after sales and warranty, Robert started out as a technician. And their passion for techs, they're the ones who approve these programs to let us do things like Twin Cup. To have that from our leadership and then be able to trickle down, it's infectious. It's you see how much they care and how much Audi cares. It's so important. And like I said, we wouldn't have a business if we didn't have technicians. They're so important, and everything they do every day. I mean, they're so wildly talented. It's unbelievable. I could not do what they do. I'm not good at fixing things, but it's just outstanding. And to be able to celebrate it and recognize it is, I feel very, very grateful to be able to be a part of a company like that.
Well, you just said it. Having leadership that's been there and done it is, I think you understand from the leadership standpoint, like, when that's part of your fabric, that's part of your makeup, it's hard to ignore how difficult the job can be at times. And I was just talking to some techs up here. We're in Wisconsin. We're as we record this in February, late February, and I remember what it's like to have really cold cars come in, that as they come in the shop, they start to melt off, and there's salt from the roads that's like kind of dripping on your face. And it's like that part of the job stinks. And
Yeah.
there are elements where it is really, really challenging. But when we look at the traits of the best, I think those are the ones that are just, they see that as a kind of a minor inconvenience rather than a their job satisfaction as a whole. And they can get by those things, they can get through those things. And I think oftentimes we'll hear some really negative narrative about the industry or about that specific job when you go online. And a lot of times I don't know that it's reflective of what people in the shops actually think, right? Like I think a lot of times we're hearing from the really negative crowd when maybe that really happy technician just isn't on social media, or they're not blasting their feelings about everything off to everybody. So, I think when we talk about traits of the best, I don't know that I think unfortunately, I don't know that they get their voice out as much as we
Mhm.
need them to, right? And so being able to identify stories of those people that are doing great things and intentionally looking for them is a way that we can help correct that narrative throughout the industry. And again, make sure that we understand there are really, really happy people in this field. There are really, really talented people in this field. We just, as an industry, maybe have to do a little bit better job of showing that off.
Completely agree with you. Absolutely. It's highlighting, it's showing how fabulous they are, and changing the narrative. It's changing that perception. And um, I I agree. And I want to hear more from technicians on what they're doing, their accomplishments, because they are a group of very talented people.
Well, and I think you look at your leadership, right? And the leadership within Audi, and the fact that they started off as technicians and worked their way up, I think those are case in point examples of people that started off with that technical background. They started off with that knowledge and then worked their way up. And what that does is showcase opportunities that maybe others don't think are there, right? Like if you go in and
Yeah.
you knock it out of the park and you showcase that desire to move and to get better, there are going to be opportunities for you in this field, and you just have to be able to go after them. And those are two examples that I just absolutely love, because I think the more we share stories like that, the more that's appealing to that technician that's out there thinking, oh, you know what, I'm just going to stick in the shop for the rest of my life. And like there are opportunities beyond that. And the last point I'll make here is, I think from an industry standpoint, it is just identifying what that technician wants. I've talked to one of my really good friends as a technician and has no desire to go into anything other than he wants to work on cars and he wants to be the best tech there is. And his goal is to be kind of just almost like that alpha character within a shop. And then I have another friend that's a tech who wants something different. They want to move into an office role at some point, and they're both
Mhm.
very open about which directions they want to go. I think one of the areas that we could also do better as an industry with is just understanding not every technician's the same. They do have different personalities. They do have different interests, and we
Mhm.
can't just put them all in a box, right? Like we need to really be able to understand who they are as people and understand that they are unique individuals.
Something that I think Audi does really well, as well as our dealer partners, is our training and development team. We have career paths outlined for every single job role. So for our service technician, for our service advisors, it's there is if you are that tech who's like, I eventually want to get behind a desk and get into management, we have career paths carved out for you so you can see that, like, hey, all right, let's do it. And I think that's again something really cool that Audi does, that focus of, it's not just a job, it's a career. Like, we want you. We want you for the long haul, wherever that path may take you.
Well, I think the visibility behind a career path is so powerful. And we've talked a lot about this in different content we've done for WrenchWay, but I talk a lot about how we focus on the younger generation and career pathing for them. But I always say, like, if I'm 50 years old in the shop, I kind of want to know what my next 15 years looks like. Right. So being able to get in a career path that is setting you up for what your goals and aspirations are is really important. And then I think one of the most important pieces a career path does is starts a conversation, right? Because a lot of times maybe that conversation with a technician, or if you're that technician with a manager, can be kind of awkward, and you don't really, you're not sure how to approach that conversation, and it's kind of an elephant in the room type of thing. But when you've got it laid out and you can sit down and have good, candid conversations on your career path, it generates conversations that otherwise wouldn't be there.
100%. It opens up doors. It's, it's looking at it in a different way, which I think is great, and something that we should be doing. There's lots of opportunity out there, and depending on what you want, that's where, take it. How do you want to mold where you want to go?
Well, and it's intentional conversation too, right? It's not reactive, it's proactive. I think a lot of times in our industry, we find ourselves on our heels and trying to put fires out, and it can be really hard to get around that. But the more you can drive those proactive conversations, the more you're addressing one of the things that we see technicians complain about the most, which is lack of communication, right? So if you as a leader say you're in one of those dealerships out there, you're taking the conversation to them. You're intentionally having those conversations. And, I've had conversations in the past where maybe somebody's uncomfortable talking about their career path. Well, getting them to open up and talk to you about it. And, somewhere along that career path is maybe, hey, I would like to go into that Twin Cup competition someday. Okay, well, what can we do to help you?
What can we do to get you there?
Yes,
exactly. That open dialogue, it's so important. So important.
I love it. And I love everything you guys do, especially what you're doing. I think your passion for the industry and in everything, every conversation you have, you kind of bring that positivity and you bring that energy to it. And I just want to say thank you for taking some time out today to do this podcast with us, for us to learn more about the Twin Cup and Audi as a whole and what you're doing for technicians. This has been a phenomenal conversation.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you letting me come on and brag about our amazing technicians, because they're unbelievable in this awesome program that Audi supports. So thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. What I'll say is we'll have to have you back on after this 2025 competition is wrapped up to see how things went. And
I know, fingers crossed, guys.
hopefully we bring home another one for the US.
Yes. We got to.
Well,
no
thank
pressure.
You so much.
No pressure. Yeah. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it.
That wraps up another episode of Beyond the Wrench. If you liked this episode, please show your support by rating and following the podcast. You can also watch the video interviews on WrenchWay's YouTube channel. Speaking of WrenchWay, did you know Beyond the Wrench is managed and produced by the WrenchWay team? WrenchWay is an online community dedicated to promoting and improving automotive and diesel careers. We help technicians find the best shops to work at, and we also help auto, diesel, and CTE instructors get more support from local industry. You can learn more by visiting wrenchway.com.